Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 10th of May, Gary. The year is just slipping past, it's rocketing on. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great after that weekend.
You should be, Gary.
How couldn't I have been, Philip? It's 81% clearance rate, 17 out of 21 against an industry average of 68%. Put it up there straight away.
You're not letting me say anything today, Gary.
I'm not going to.
What is this, the Gary version of GPTV, is
that's
it?
exactly
You're just
right.
going to hog the camera.
I'd like to.
Well, while you're hogging the camera, maybe you just get on with it and I'll just pour us a little drink.
Yeah,
Given the fact that we are in, I think we should call this the library version of GPTV, Gary. And I'm pouring a bottle, some double black Johnny Walker here, Gary, because it's
so easy.
It's 5 o'clock in the world somewhere, isn't it?
It's somewhere. You know what? It's happy hour somewhere,
so
Philip.
we may as well get into. Oh, smell that, Gary! I've got to tell you, sitting next to you, anything to get rid of your smell is a total pleasure. But you've got to love the smell of that, Gary.
Phil, where do we start? I mean, there's so many exciting things to talk about. Great weekend of auctions.
Whiskey for
we start with that, don't we?
Yeah.
Chin and all that.
Gary, here's to a booming property market. And thank you to the Reserve Bank Governor for the free kick you gave the real estate industry last week. All of our sellers that were over the weekend and moving forward are celebrating your absolutely astute thought process of pouring more petrol on this booming property market.
Fire.
Here's to the Reserve Bank Governor, Gary.
Cheers. We are in 97 Dendy Street. We'll talk about that shortly, Phil, because we're in the study, aren't we? The library.
We are, Gary. I think we should call this the cerebral version, Gary.
Why?
I'm going to point out the things behind you are books.
Oh, is that what
and
they
books
are?
have got words in them, Gary. And the idea with a book is you sit down and you read and learn.
Yes, I remember that from my childhood because there are pictures. There's pictures.
These are books, not racing guides or poker instruction manuals.
Really fair enough. Good to know. Are there pictures in the books? Because they're the ones I like.
Yeah, goodness knows the only way you'd read a book if it was a comic.
Phil, I like comics too. I've got a big Dennis the Menace collection still at home, believe it or not.
Do you really?
I do.
Yeah.
Love Dennis the Menace. Phil, let's talk about where we are because we're getting ridiculous, off topic, off track. Here we are, Philip, at 97 Dendy Street. But first, let's talk about some of the highlights. I'm going all over the place. I haven't even started. The weekend was huge, Phil. Huge.
Gary, I'm just going to, I don't know what order.
No, you know what? We're going to start by talking about
the
first auction on Saturday that I saw you at in Buxton Street. Let's talk about that, Phil, because how about that? Expectations.
Shout out to Leon Guzenfitter and his wonderful team, of course, of Jared and Ben and Stephanie. But what a great job they did there, because our reserve there, Gary, was what?
1435. That was what the vendors were hoping to get. And lo and behold, Philip, we've sold it for $300,000 over reserve. We've interviewed the vendors.
And we felt very supported, I suppose, through the process.
Yep. Everyone was very personable. It was just like working with a family company.
Yeah.
Well, they are a family company. Yeah.
They were absolutely
phenomenal.
excited. What a great auction, what an exciting result, and what a freaky price, really, in many ways. Delightful buyer who's come from the other side of town, Philip, from Clifton Hill.
Do you know, a lovely little story, because we sold this for a woman who was there with her daughter and her granddaughter. And the daughter and granddaughter lived down in Sandringham, and the mother was living in Clifton Hill, and she wanted to live closer. Can you imagine peak hour going to visit your granddaughter from Clifton Hill to Sandringham? That's about as far opposite sides of the city as you
That's
can
a
get.
big gap. It's not quite Melton to Dandenong, but there's no freeway connecting those two, is there? So you're right, probably take just as long. So great auction, Philip, and enjoying the footage there because you were in full flight. One of our exciting ones. Phil, let's talk about another auction that we had that was exciting. That was on Sunday morning, Kalymna Grove, another property single-fronted, Phil.
Well, Gary, that was a standout auction that you actually did, which comes as somewhat of a surprise to me.
Don't be like that.
Apparently you were on fire and in tremendous control of the crowd there, Gary.
Expectations.
And smashed the record there.
Expectations just over $1 million, Philip. Reserve was just a little over, but we sold it for 1363, Philip, if I'm not mistaken.
I've got to tell you, Gary, it's a beautiful house without question.
1368, beg your pardon.
Beautiful house without question, but no parking.
No.
And that really, for a single-fronted one of a pair with no parking, that's a huge result.
Lots of young people, young couples, Philip, and I don't mind saying, a very good-looking crowd there, Phil. Some spunks in the crowd. It's nice to see. Do people say spunks anymore?
There's an expression, viewers from the 1970s, when Gary had his mullet hairstyle. He used to go out chasing skunks on the weekend.
When I could get off the Sharpie dance. Phil, let's talk about Sunday afternoon, because there was a big auction in Stanley Parade. Now, they don't get much bigger than that, because that was monstrous.
Incredible, Gary. Now, the story, the backstory to this property. Viewers, we've talked about it many times on GPTV, that the theory is in Melbourne that property prices double every 10 years. And on average, they seem to. We put that to the test.
To be. Depends on which 10 years. Not always.
Understand,
one
Gary,
point to the other, Philip.
On average, Gary. right? Now, this property was bought from us in 2005 at a competitive auction. I remember doing it, and we sold it for $655,000 in 2005. Competitive auction, solid price at the time. The vendor's lovely couple moved in, polished the floorboards, painted the house white, and that's about it, I reckon.
Well, why don't we show the auction?
Okay.
Let's just show. Firstly, we've got to show this great footage with the kit, because this is the best. Okay, so you're in, just to preface what's going on, he's in full auction flight, having a ball. There's a little kid he's interacting with, and as W.C. Fields, the famous actor, said, "I never work with kids and animals," and probably this is a good reason why. So this was funny. We've got to show this, just this moment. Have a look.
Let's just set this whole thing up so it'll look like the most amazing auction on Facebook. Right? Completely manipulated, because we'll cut all of that part out. 1,963,000. Let's get the tempo going, shall we? Because we're about to sell. Come and stand here. Come and stand right here beside me. Look down the lens of the camera and say, "I want this house." $1,963,000. So Gary, tripled in value, almost to the dollar.
1971, Philip. 1 million, good year, by the way. $1,971,000
from $655,000.
How many years ago was that?
Just on 11 years.
Extraordinary.
So that is an extraordinary result. And viewers, one of the reasons for that is that the City of Glen Eira, when they imposed their new regulations with regards to urban density, this is a street where urban density is much higher than the rest of the area. So there was a bit of a free kick to the vendors by changing the zoning of that street.
Talking about free kicks, we sit here again with both of our teams successful.
Wow.
The Mighty Demons, the Mighty Blues. We'll see you in the grand final.
I've got to tell you. Can you imagine both teams in the grand final?
What would the odds be? What would the odds be of those two playing a grand final together? You could write your own ticket for that.
But what are the odds of both of them winning any particular Saturday?
Exactly.
It's one thing for Melbourne to win one Saturday and Carlton to win another, but on the same day. Keep in mind, of course, that Melbourne and Carlton, long-suffering teams, and we are long-suffering supporters.
We are. Phil, what's going on with land? Latrobe Street, give us a clue about land prices at the moment.
Look, we've been saying that one of the strongest performers in the market is anything with a high land content, anything we call land, the blank canvas, where people can paint their dreams. Developers had a go at this, homeowners had a go at this, and we had a reserve there, I think, of 1,325, if I'm not mistaken, and we sold that, Gary, for
$1,576,000 was the end price, Philip. A very, very popular result. How many bidders did you have there?
Do you know, we had, I think, 3 really strong bidders and 2 that really didn't get much of a chance.
I mean, talking about volume of bidders, Kalymna Grove, I think we had 6 bidders. We had, I don't know, 5 or 6 at Buxton Street as well.
Stanley, we had
5 groups. And the other one that I just want to talk about, and it's not the most expensive, but just shows there are some interesting results around, was the apartment that I did in Orong Road. Very interesting, because there was a sale in the block, I think, recently, for high 4s, about 480. And we've just knocked this one off, Phil, on the weekend on Sunday. The reserve there was 505, because it was a bit better than the other one, which I thought, 510, which I thought was reasonable, sort of at the top of our range.
That's 20% over what we would call an ambitious reserve.
And that's like $100,000 over the reserve, or 95. I mean, it's unbelievable.
So the message really is, Gary, market's continuing to fire, particularly with us.
But 5 bidders for that apartment. So I know we've said a few times on the show the apartments are a little bit quieter, but there was no evidence of that at that auction.
Mind you, that was a standout apartment. It's the generic, I think it's the generic apartments. That are struggling. So anything that's obviously got some wow factor, probably still going well. Back to my original thought, the market's flying.
It is.
81%, although the industry is 68%, not a bad clearance rate, but I would have expected a bit higher from the industry. But
a bit disappointed with the industry,
well, I am. I think industry, take a good, hard, long look at yourself. And speaking, Gary,
I'm going to say the same thing.
Taking a good, hard, long look at yourself, there's no way we're going to say the same thing.
Fair enough.
Noticed anything different about me today, Gary?
No, you've got makeup on. That's what I do know about you now. This guy wears makeup. I'm just telling you now. You do. Hannah, my wife, picked it. She said you wear makeup. She said Phil wears makeup. You wear makeup.
It's called cover up on a little skin blemish. You can't hardly call that
he's got makeup.
Anyway, noticed anything different about me today, Gary?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, I'm wearing grey.
Okay.
Okay, well, I don't normally wear grey.
But I like it with the purple. It looks good.
Yeah, it's the whole ensemble. Just a little bit from Milan here, Gary. I've had this suit for a little while, but hasn't had much of a wear.
Yeah, fair enough.
But my favourite brand of ties, viewers, is a brand called Stefano Ricci.
Stefano Ricci.
I've got to tell you, the most phenomenal store in Milan, over 3 floors, where I've never seen so many good-looking people. I'm talking about the staff now. Went in and they said, "Oh, you'd like to buy a tie, would you?" And I sort of smiled to myself. When have I ever bought a tie?
Yep.
Walked out 10 ties later and didn't even buy you one.
No wonder we had such a good weekend. You had a lot of incentive to perform. Talk about the industry, Phil.
Yeah.
It was only maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago that we had Enzo Raimondo on, and I've got a feeling we owe him an apology because I reckon that's the end of his career, Phil. He got onto GPTV and the goodbye, show over. Have a look at the headline. Here it is. Steps down, all over, finished. Enzo Raimondo. We love you, Enzo. We're going to miss you.
You know what, Enzo?
But it's over.
Shout out, because I think he was an outstanding CEO.
He was. And he served his time. And the industry was better for having him in, Phil. I can tell you, so much better.
And we wish him well, whatever he goes on to do next. No doubt he'll be a high achiever. But there's no question. We brought you down, Enzo.
We warned you. We warned you. You went to, someone said for every good deed there's a punishment, Phil, and that was it. He came on GPTV.
We got him to sign a disclaimer before coming on GPTV.
Exactly right. That was wise.
Yes, Gary, you could say that we've made a lot of careers on this show, but we've also broken a few.
Yeah, but all the best, Enzo. We wish you well. Thanks for being on, and we're sorry that was the end of it for you.
Special shout out to the incoming CEO of the REIV.
Exactly right.
We will be asking you to come on the show, but make sure your contract's being vetted by your lawyers.
Make sure it's tight. Exactly right. Phil, we've got a big smorgasbord of auctions coming up this weekend.
A smorgasbord, a fine selection. All you can eat.
All you can eat in one weekend across many suburbs, Philip. We're going to review it in a minute. But firstly, we are here in this fantastic home with the most delightful vendors, both brilliantly academic, Philip, a professor, a teacher. Well, they're both.
I don't know. They must have been amused, because you've been the one that's responsible for getting this house on the market. They must have been amused talking to you, because, you know, giant intellectual capacity of them both, and obviously speaking to such a lightweight. I reckon they listed with you out of sympathy. I also reckon they listed with you because they kind of got some sort of sarcastic pleasure out of dealing.
See what it's like the other side. They've dealt with clever people their whole life. They thought, let's just before we go out of this house, let's deal with somebody we can have a lot of fun with.
Correct.
But he's brilliant. He's a professor. He's on the radio. He's got the best voice.
He lectures. He's got the best voice.
And by the way, if you want an analysis. See how clever I am. An analysis of the budget. He sent me and a number of people an analysis of the budget and made it so clear it was the best thing I've ever read about the budget. Really? So I couldn't understand.
Well, that's a big rap for him, but I actually like her because she just gives it to him all the time.
I know, she does. But she's brilliant with understanding real estate, because, you know, I can name any sale, any property, and they both know it.
Well, why don't we sell them the company?
We should. I'll tell you what, I'm ready. But let's first sell their house, because this comes up on Saturday.
Gary, have a look at the
97
facade.
Dendy Street.
Have a look at the facade on this house. I mean, you could just fall in love with the street with its circular driveway. This is a house that's got the best laid out floor plan. The house designed those years ago, but it's still a contemporary home.
But they have done so much work over all the years they've been here, Philip. An incredible history that they've got with this home, with this fantastic look.
The land size, Gary. Land size is massive, and the thing that we all look for, and few of us can achieve, is the north-facing back garden. This house,
with that beautiful pool.
Prime Brighton address, prime parcel of land, and a sensational home that, of course, could go a number of ways. Somebody could renovate it, move straight in, or of course somebody might be viewing this as a land sale.
Well, there are people looking at the development options here, Philip, and they're trying to work out what they can do. But it's been very popular as a home, as you say. It's a very grand and beautiful, elegant home.
Which are all of the things that we could never say about you, Gary. So let's move on to this weekend's activity, because we've got a big one.
Shall we talk about the auctions we've got?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Phil, Saturday morning we've got 4 auctions at 10:30 a.m. It's going to be a busy time slot for us, Phil. We start off in Ormond, Fraser Street, Ormond, Phil. I've got the auction honours of this property.
Great property, this one, Gary. A 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1 lock-up garage home. Wraparound gardens. Love this house, and I love that position.
Goulay Street, St Kilda East, Phil. Jeremy Rosen's auctions.
Gary, that is the block to buy in walking distance to the Glen Ira Village and Carlisle Street, and trams and trains and buses. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. Glorious renovation throughout.
Clayton, one of our 9 suburbs we're covering this weekend. weekend, Philip, and Graham Callan has the auction honours in Robinson Street, Clayton.
Good on Graham, and a special shout out to Graham, who's been with us now for a little while. Took him over when we took over the Carnegie office. Doing great things.
One of the chattels, Philly.
Three bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and 1 lock-up garage, and that is an immaculate home.
From Clayton to Ormond to St Kilda East and then to Armadale, where you have the auction honours at 10:30 a.m.
Well, I know this property well, Gary. It's round the corner from my place, and it's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and off-street car parking. Great position there. Walk to High Street, walk to Glenferrie Road, tram at your front door. Brilliant property.
The 11:30 a.m. slot has been exclusively kept free for only one auction, and that's the one we're here at 97 Dendy Street,
and
Brighton
I
again.
think, Gary, we've given this house a big enough wrap, so let's move on. But I'm looking forward to being here with you to sell this house to some lucky owner.
Special home, be there. Philip, 12:30, we're going to be at Cedar Street. You're going to be doing that auction with Leon. Great looking property, this one.
It is a great looking property, Gary, and not made from any cedar whatsoever, but this is 3 or 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, car parking via double lock-up garage for 2 cars. That is schmick-as. I love that property.
Phil, we're in ELSTERNWICK at 12:30 at Prahran Grove. Jeremy Rosen's going to be auctioning this fabulous looking property, and he's looking forward to it.
And Gary, and special shout out to Jeremy Rosens, who is a late convert to social media. Facebook. He's a Facebook junkie now. And
is that right?
Every weekend you can tune into Facebook, request to be his friend, because he's racking up the videos of his auctions on social media, and I'm enjoying them. And 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. But check out the courtyard garden on this property. It is amazing.
You've got a double in Carnegie, Philip. At 1:30 you're going to be in Neeram Road.
Gary, Neeram Road, 595 square metres of prime land with a good, livable, lettable house, and obviously in a zone that is going ballistic.
2:30 we're moving on to Longstaff Street, Carnegie with Leon. You're doing that auction, Phil.
And Gary, just loving our Carnegie office, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, plenty of car parking there, I think, and certainly just a property you can move straight into.
Now, this is an interesting property in MOORABBIN, this Florida Court, Philip. Take us through this one.
Well, obviously, Gary, this has had huge exposure because a special shout out to the home team, Channel 10. They do an amazing job where they take an old home, they bring in a series of trades, they completely transform the house, and this house is absolutely stunning. And Florida Court, just off South Road, easy access to everywhere, the beach and of course Southland. It is the most incredible property, and we've been very, very lucky to be employed a second time by them, and I can tell you their houses are incredible.
In Florida, or for the young people, Flow Rider, Philip. That's that cool muso, Flow Rider, Phil.
Yeah, I got that part.
Good, glad to hear you're up with the times, Phil. You'll be up with the times at Sunday morning. You'll be up at 11:30 enjoying this auction.
Well, as
they
say, Gary, Sunday morning, you sure look fine. I've got St Albans on my mind.
Just leave it there.
Say you love me.
No, we need to move on.
All right, sorry. I love this house, Gary. This is 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a big, solid 60s/70s house, glamorous north-facing back garden. I reckon this is possibly one of my favourite houses in North Caulfield.
Well, it is, and I know that Kia's Court's one of your favourite addresses because nothing ever comes up there, but we've got one at 12:30. Leon's handling this stunning home.
Well, Gary, it's an amazing home, complete with basement, gymnasium, home theatre, lift. This is the house with absolutely everything. 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, basement car parking. It is incredible.
You are the man doing all the auctions on Sunday, Phil. You're going to be in Armand Court in the middle of your day at 1:30 p.m. Take us through this.
Okay, well, Gary, this is a shout out to this house because this is a
house probably can't hear you,
Okay,
Philip.
Gary, well, you'll get what I'm trying to say. This has got big land content. It's got a house that's in excellent condition. Could be further improved, but this is to me, Armand Street's one of the best streets of Caulfield South.
Sally Zellman's taking you to this wonderful property in Bambra Road. That's on Sunday afternoon, 2:30.
Well, it's technically not in Bambra Road, Gary, because it faces Travaska Street, and it's got its own street frontage. Having said that, technically the address is Bambra Road, but this is a brilliant 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, double lock-up garage home, one of 2, but because it's built on a corner, Gary, it really ignores the other house. It's a house, as far as I'm concerned.
Finishing off on Sunday in Kent Grove. Philip, what a great address that is. Mickey Janova's involved with this one.
Well, Gary, this is 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms with a double carport. We've said it many times, Gary, we are great fans of these retro-style homes. This is a big one, and it's got a west-facing back garden, big and solid, Gary, much like yourself.
That's the way we like them, Phil. And we are looking forward to a very, very big weekend of auctions. You've already reviewed that one, so you can put that one down, Phil. But it's been a big week. We've had Mother's Day.
Gary, how about all of the Lindt chocolates given out on Mother's Day?
We gave a lot of those out, didn't we?
I don't know how many.
Nuts on the budget,
well, I did, Gary.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we bought 300 boxes.
Oh, you didn't.
300 boxes of Lindt chocolates.
And they went like no time.
I'm going to give a bit of a shout out, Gary. I know we don't do normal commercial endorsements, but shout out to Woolworths, who made it very easy for us to buy those. The click and pay thing, Gary.
Well, they would. They're selling in the business of selling. They didn't do it as a favour. They made money out of it, Phil.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, I found it to be very efficient. So, you know, the Woolworths share price, I don't know whether you know, Gary, has been decimated over the last few years, completely lost their way. Having said that, if their click and pay solution is any indication, they're coming back.
Mother's Day, Phil, we had the Star Wars Day, you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
We did. It was May the 4th.
Okay, clearly I missed that.
It is May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
It was May the 4th.
Really?
It was a big, Star Wars
Anybody
Day.
made that joke?
No, well, that's known for. May the 4th be with you.
Okay.
That's it. That's
All right.
Star Wars Day. So well done to those people who love Star Wars. And also, just if you want to see, if you're a St Kilda supporter, go onto our website and click on to the St Kilda report in our videos, because Sam Fisher's being interviewed.
Oh, really?
As well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Special shout out, though, to all of the mothers on Mother's Day. And I don't
Happy
mind
Mother's
saying,
Day.
Happy Mother's Day to my mum. And I want to just tell you, I know this is perhaps going to bring in a sad element to the show, but I did spend a few moments thinking about your dear mum on Mother's Day, because it's your first Mother's Day without your mum.
Unfortunately.
And so for all of those people that celebrated with their mum, Happy Mother's Day, and for all of those that didn't, you know,
spare a thought for the happy times.
Yeah, correct.
That's for sure.
Correct.
Big edition of GPTV. We'll see you next week. A great weekend of auctions. An exciting month is May. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Philip Kingston. Have a great week.